I'd like to start today's video by asking you a question. And the question is this: how do you react when you are offended, when you're hurt, when you're betrayed? What is it that you do? Do you seek revenge? Do you try to get even? Does it ruin your life? Do you withdraw from your friends and family? Is it something that you just can't stop talking about? And the reason I'm asking you this question is because the reaction that you have to those kinds of events in your life, the reaction that you have to when you're offended, betrayed, when your feelings are hurt, when you feel stepped on, criticized, all of those things, your reaction to a large degree determines your quality of life. Because you can't get away from those things. You can't get away from people offending you. You can't get away from people hurting you. You can't get it. That's just life. And because that happens so often, if you respond with anger, resentment, and these other negative emotions, it's going to spoil the happiness that you can feel. And so as we continue this series on authentic forgiving, I want you to really look at yourself with some honesty and see how you react when you're hurt, betrayed, and burdened. Because you may think that, well, that's just the way it is. If I'm criticized, I'm going to be hurt. I think that there's another way. Because each time that you're offended, each time that your feelings are hurt, you have a choice to be bitter or better. And let me start with this famous saying. I'm sure you've all heard the saying, time heals all wounds. I'm actually going to disagree with that statement, because I don't necessarily believe that is true unless you make the choice to be healed over time. Because time does not heal the wound. It may lessen or reduce the intensity over time, but I have met so many people that after many years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, they are still feeling anger, hurt, and resentment from something that has happened in the past. Don't be fooled into thinking that time heals all your wounds. Your wounds are still there. You may not be able to see them every day, but you're still feeling the effects of those wounds. And now with the steps of authentic forgiving, I'm going to help you learn how to completely get rid of that pain, so that whether it is something that happened yesterday, a year ago, a month ago, a week ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, this is something that you can just be done with, something that you can just let go. Let me ask you another question. The other question I want to ask you is, who deserves your forgiveness the most? Think about that. Think about everyone that has ever offended you. Who deserves your forgiveness the most? Now, this is a little bit of a trick question, because the answer is all of them and none of them. Because the person that deserves your forgiveness more than anyone else, regardless of what they have done, is you. And so everything that I share with you in this series of videos on authentic forgiving applies to yourself first, forgiving yourself first, and then forgiving others. And it's very important to realize that you must take this seriously to forgive yourself, because if you can't forgive yourself, all of the forgiving, all of the forgiveness that you give to others is going to be minimized. So everything that I talk about applies to you first and then to others. The other point that I'd like to make in this video is that forgiving does not depend on apologies. I meet and speak with so many people that say, well, I'll forgive Daniel when he apologizes, or I'll forgive Sarah when I finally get a sincere apology. It's unfortunate, but if you are waiting for an apology in order to forgive someone for something that they have done to you, you're going to be waiting a long time. And all the time that you are waiting, you're going to be feeling the pain. You're going to be feeling angry and all of these other negative emotions. Don't wait for an apology. True forgiving, authentic forgiving, does not depend on an apology. You can forgive without an apology. And I'd like you to think about forgiving as a great gift that you give yourself. That you're going to do it more for you than you are about the other person. Withholding forgiveness creates a lot of negative emotions. Some of those negative emotions include anger, resentment. It also includes ultra-sensitivity, because when we withhold forgiveness, we become very sensitive to the things around us, because the next time that we get offended, it's going to affect us even more than it did the first time. It could also create physical and emotional illness. It is so true that withholding forgiveness can affect your health. There's been a large body of research done in the past several years that shows that therapy that includes forgiving has made a great impact on people with depression. In fact, they have found that forgiveness therapy can have the same impact, the same relief from depression symptoms as antidepressants do. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling some physical pain as well, forgiving can make a significant difference. Spiritual stagnation, loneliness, victimization, overly judgmental to other people are other things that can happen when you withhold forgiveness. Basically what happens is that you start to feel negative emotions in so many realms. And this being very judgmental happens because we just feel like we're being poked at, that we're being burdened, that we're angry all the time. All of those things can go away by learning how to authentically forgive. So it really comes down to this. Every single time that you are offended, every single time that your feelings are hurt, you have a choice. You can either be bitter or you can choose to be better. Authentic forgiving. And when we get into the steps of authentic forgiving, you're going to see that it is based on that choice. The choice to be better, not bitter. Because any time that you're feeling bitterness, you're going to have all of these other symptoms that can really make a negative difference in your life. It could cause so many negative emotions, rob you of happiness, contaminate each and every day that you live. So over the next week, I'd like you to think about how not forgiving is really affecting your life. And I'm going to talk about what forgiveness is and what forgiveness is not, to give you an idea of where we're heading in this topic of authentic forgiving.